Since I put out my last video about the cost of owning a car in Denmark, a lot of you have asked me in the comments about why I haven't just imported the car that I had and why I decide to buy another car here in Denmark. I decided to make this video to explain the reasons for that. And those reasons are related to the import taxation of cars, of used cars in Denmark. Unless you've been living under a rock, you already know that in Denmark, if you buy a new car, then there are horrible taxes on cars in general. And these taxes also need to be paid if you decide to import your car to Denmark. In Denmark, you can only use a car on foreign license plates for 30 days, after which you have to register it in Denmark because that's the country where you live if you move to the country. Now, the car that I had was just like this one. It was a Ford Focus. The value of this car in the Danish market is around 24,000-25,000 Danish krona, and that's going to be interesting. If you want to calculate how much import tax we need to pay, we need to find a car like this because we need some data about that, namely the efficiency, like how much gas it burns per kilometer, as well as how much carbon dioxide it puts out, as well as the market value, and also the new price. Because if you decide to import a vehicle like this one into Denmark and register it to have Danish plates, you will have to pay the import tax based on the assessed market value of the car on the Danish market, which will be higher than what the car is worth in pretty much any other country. So the same used car is going to be less expensive in a place like Germany than it is in Denmark. Now, in order to calculate the tax, you just Google Denmark vehicle import tax calculation. And this first one seems to be the good one. Yeah, that's the one. If you want to know the tax registration tax in advance, there's an approximate calculation, and that's on used vehicles. So you have to use this link, which is in Danish, but that's not going to be a problem. We can use Google Translate in the browser that you're using, and I'm going to fill out the calculator with the data that we can find about the car on the site Bilbasen. That's one of the biggest used car markets in Denmark. So it's an import. We don't do the review today. I'm gonna hit next. First registration was, let's assume, 2006. In case of my car, first registration in Denmark is right now. Translate again. It's a passenger car. It runs on petrol. It's not a hybrid. We're going to use the NEDC standard. The car consumes 6.7 liters per 100 kilometer, and that's 14.9 kilometers per liter. Emissions are 154, as we learned it on the site on Bilbasen. Here it is. Mileage, mine had 300,000. The net weight is also to be found here. It's this one, and also the useful load is 695. Great, number of airbags was 4, no integrated child seats, no belt alarms, but it did have ABS and radio. I'm not sure about the others. I'm gonna hit next. There's probably a box somewhere, so you have to hit next again. And that's where the interesting part is. You have to put trade price. So that's gonna be the value of the vehicle on the Danish market, for which I'm going to use the value of this vehicle, 24,900. And the new price we're also going to snatch from this one. And I'm going to hit calculate. And you could get lost in all the details, but the interesting number or the important number is here at the beginning. The registration tax that you would need to pay in order to register a car in Denmark is 12,832 Danish kroner. Now, this is almost as much as this car is worth on the local Hungarian market. So how I calculate and how I considered it didn't make sense to me to have a car that's worth, let's say, 14,000, pay another 13,000. Now we're at 26, because I could buy a car in reasonable shape for less than that. That's one consideration. The other consideration is that if you decide to import a car, you have to go through a inspection that cars normally only have to do every 2 years to check that it's roadworthy, which is a good thing, but there's a slight risk that there could be some issue with your car that's acceptable in your country, but not acceptable in Denmark, and then there's all kinds of troubles related to that. If you buy something on the Danish market that has passed the inspection, then you know that it's okay to run in this country. So that's for buying a car locally. Another thing that I didn't know and didn't consider at the time is people in Denmark seem to avoid every cost related to cars that is not absolutely necessary, because mechanics and car repairs are very, very expensive. So they only repair what they must. And so that means if you're going to buy something off the market, which is not like 5 years old or something, or new like that, then it's probably going to have a few issues that you have to deal with. And that also involves cost. If you decide to import your vehicle that you currently have, then you know how it was maintained because you did that. You know what are the issues, if any. You know that it was kept up to a reasonably good condition. So I decided to buy a car locally, also a smaller car, a more economic car, because the numbers for me worked out this way, but they could work out differently for you. And I encourage that you do the same kind of calculation using these numbers. Again, it's bilbasen.dk, where you have to look for market value of the car, and it's the motorregister.scat.dk, where you can find the calculator. You can also request a binding evaluation from the motor registry. It costs some money, and then they're going to give like a promise on how much they're going to value your car for and how much import tax you need to pay. So I hope you found this video interesting. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you in the next one.